Hello everyone, welcome to an impromptu lesson in United States geography, also known as the US cruiser line. In today's cruiser we have the premium tier 7 US heavy cruiser, the Indianapolis, which is basically the tier 7 tech tree heavy cruiser at New Orleans with a slightly different model and radar instead of defensive AA. I think also it comes with rapid reload rather than precise aiming, but I haven't looked at the New Orleans for some time, so I could be wrong. Now, everybody wants me to tell them how, well, not everybody, but some people in the comments want me to tell how I've got the ship kitted out, so I'll remember to do it this time. And today's ship is kitted out. US cruisers, this cruiser is kitted out in, well, obviously historical camo, but it's got turret traverse, so main battery modification 1 for the turret traverse, because, well, I don't like turrets going out and the rapid reload. A main battery modification 2 comes with a higher percentage chance of losing your turrets, and you don't have that many turrets in this ship. In the second slot I have an advanced deck protection, simply because the US cruisers have enough performance for what they should be doing, that there's really not, you get a lot of flexibility around the equipment slots. Like if you get in equipment slots for some ships, you really need to pour it into something to make up for the lack of whatever it is, like German battleships, for example. Terrible traverse. You need traverse in one of your slots at least, but with the US cruiser line, because of the way it's supposed to be used and the way it's best used, which is not rushing ahead in close with other ships, providing a bit of a screen, you actually don't need the same sort of performance, and they've got pretty good turning on them anyway, so they're pretty agile for what they are. So that's slot number 2. It's taken me a long time to get through this. Slot number 3 is concealment modification number 1. Now, this is a bit unusual. Normally, I think with my US heavy cruisers, I don't bother with concealment modification 1. However, I do bother with concealment modification 1 in the case of the Indianapolis because, be right back, because with concealment modification 2 and the historical concealment modification 1, and the historical camo, it has a concealment of 7.18 kilometers, detection radius of 7.18 kilometers, and it comes with 2 radar. Now those radar will detect ships out to a delightful distance of 7.2 kilometers, which means that with the historical camo, which is quite nice looking, and with the concealment modification 1, if you're out there on your own and you're detected, you can pop your radar and guarantee that you will spot whatever is detecting you. Unless, of course, it's a game with aircraft carriers, in which case, don't bother. But anyway, so the radar does come in useful. It's far more useful in the AA, in the New Orleans, which is just a button to smash to make you feel good. You can actually see the radar doing some good. Although you won't see it doing any good in this game because, well, this game just didn't have any opportunities to use it, because I wasn't close enough, within 7.2 kilometers, of anything that was using smoke. Or the destroyers, well, we never really approached the destroyers in this game. So as for the New Orleans, is it worth it? Well, I'm sorry, not the New Orleans, the Indianapolis, is it worth it? Well, it's very much like the New Orleans. I did enjoy the New Orleans when I played up through the US heavy cruiser line, but I think some of the later lines have made it probably power crept it a little bit, and they do struggle as ships. They don't have the same sort of punching power. In fact, they're not really bad at anything, but they're not really good at anything, and often in this game what you'll find is the ship strength and you use it. And if you have a ship that's basically pretty average all round, it can be a bit of a struggle to get some good damage numbers out. So the heavy cruiser line is probably the poor cousin to the light cruiser line for the US, but the Indianapolis is sort of quite, well, it's fun, even though it does have an extremely shocking win rate, which I'm not going to go and look up, but it's well under 50%, and I suspect well under 40%, especially if today's effort is anything to go by. Yeah, so it's, but yeah, at tier 7, it's sort of a workable ship. But yes, not something that I particularly would go out and say that you'd need to absolutely go and get. I mean, here I am in the Indianapolis doing exactly the wrong thing. I should be a fleet defense ship. I should be back at our base. But of course, the ships that I've been trying to escort are all gone, leaving me with this difficult problem of trying to clear out an aircraft carrier, and I just don't have the sort of the knockdown power. The US heavy cruiser line, for most people, for anybody that doesn't know, the US cruiser line above Tier 5 doesn't have torpedoes. Now, it's not really a big loss. In a situation like this, some torpedoes would really be useful. But generally, when you're out there fighting away, the torpedoes don't make a big difference. Simply because cruisers, if you're using torpedoes in cruisers, with a few exceptions, generally it's a sign that you've got yourself out of position or into a bit of trouble. Certainly with the British cruiser line, the torpedoes that I use in that are used more for area denial. This is a good sign that we're in a bit of trouble, because our trusty Lightning here is using AP and firing well behind the Amagi. You'd wonder how someone gets to Tier 8 without being able to shoot at a battleship at close range and hit it. I mean, I'm not very good at leading my shots, but I think, yeah, certainly there's a bit of a problem going on here. So we are going to struggle a little bit. At least he's got the capability to dodge torpedoes from the Shikoku. Hopefully our aircraft carrier can wear down that Amagi. Actually, the Amagi is a ship that I should really take out. I do enjoy the way the Amagi looks. Probably the wrong thing to do with this torpedo is a nice tight cluster, but in this sort of situation, well, nice tight cluster, he doesn't need many to hit, and he certainly doesn't want all of them to miss. So let's go and have a look at those torpedoes as they track their way in. Yeah, so I don't really get many of the games that I particularly find suit the strengths of the New Orleans. Generally, ships tend to run around, like, for example, in this game right at the start, that we had a couple of ships that would go up the flank. In this map, really my recommendation in this map is that you take the time to find and locate the enemy destroyers and then make your plans from there. It's too easy to open up a flank and let a destroyer come around and sneak the cap, or to open up in the middle, which was the risk at the start of this game. Anyway, a bit of a run out in the New Orleans. Yeah, it is. I mean, once you get used to US heavy cruisers, they can be quite good, quite effective, but it does take a bit of practice. Not as much practice potentially as the light cruisers with their high shell arcs, but still, yeah, you've got to overcome a lot of ordinariness in order to have quite a good game in it. So there you go. Indianapolis, sorry, not New Orleans. Hope you enjoyed watching it. Catch you next time.